Cold, unyielding, poisonous, dark. Black metal is anti-human. Black metal is anti-you. And at this point in history, if it were to take any less of a stance, it wouldn't even be real. We are the generations growing up under the shadow of our own doom. The party has gone on for too long, and the waste has accumulated, and the lies, and the treacherous secrets from long past, which come to haunt us now in the form of their descendant actions. We know that this is bearing down on us, and we're aware that we have no future in this system that we've created, an illusion and a giant pyramid of purchasing power which will topple with its own victims, intact as they fall, to face the horrifying death of nothingness they have so long denied. What is it about Western culture, Western Judeo-Christian culture, that can irk the soul of a malcontent like nothing else? It is the conformity and the numbing insistence on sameness and equality that makes us all feel like products, like things designed only to serve, in a system that cannot appreciate our individual qualities. And thus, as our world is polluted, our ethnicities and cultures are destroyed, our families are torn by capitalism, and we are each forced into a pigeonhole, we cannot react. We are frozen in time by our own fear. Good luck to this generation. We're the people who face the music and bring forth the raw and screaming hatred. The elite of black metal moves onward, through a process akin to that which nature uses when her fires, earthquakes, and destructive storms rake the earth. The stress that we place upon the survival of any organism will guarantee that organism to be stronger in overcoming those goals. Embrace pessimism and the darkness of black metal. Celebrate only the elite, and natural evolution will occur. The next generation is ours, and if we are rigorous in our demands, it shall meet our expectations and hopes. Thank you for listening to KCUF. Most of you lead lives of utter desperation, hidden beneath the normalcy of your conformity. It is your need to stay within the aesthetic of the redeemed, within the power that will in the end save you from the carnage and fear in the system you support. People do not understand black metal because they claim that it has no knowledge of aesthetic, that in being so dark and so twisted and ugly, it defies the purpose of art. When some, looking at darkness as a language, a necessary descriptive force, see not a counterpoint, but another world opening, something that speaks where the world of light is mute, and articulates a complexity that cannot be seen in the daytime. This is the GOAT on Radio KCUF. Our lives are nothing that would fit into a handy image. Black metal corrupts all image. It is the curse of knowing the logic of truth. Destruction hails to those who would obey this pathway. Here is Iljarn. Sacramentum fading out like death. That was from their album The Coming of Chaos and the invocation Awaken Chaos, the third song on that record, available from Century Media. Now, the first song, of course, was Iljarn with Whispering Breeze, possibly the most rudimentary and destructive black metal possible at this moment. Possibly, who knows. But in any case, reductivist, deconstructionalist, anti-structuralist. Gotta love all that stuff. Breaking down your face and your head, just as a matter of course. In any case, this is Radio KCUF, and I'm the GOAT, and we have something a little more immersive coming. The sound of Gorgoroth. This is the GOAT on Radio KCUF. That set began with Gorgoroth, a song called Ritual, and we then played a Dark Throne tune. Something in Norwegian is what we'll call the title for now. That most recent song was Graveland, off the Celtic Winter. That was called The Night of Full Moon. Their drifting ballad style wins them many points with this DJ, but it's their ferocious, savage, meaningless, and yet insidiously catchy riffs that make that album excellent. In any case, we're about to wind up our program here with a little bit of a Burzum medley, because you deserve it. For tuning into us, you're really the shit, as far as we're concerned. Thank you, listeners. In any case, what you're going to hear is a song off of Philosophum, mated with a more deviant tune, perhaps, off the Count's newer effort, Dottie Balders. Hold on to your hats, or maybe settle into your spine. This is the sleep of your soul, disrupted. Notes struck into the void from Norway's Count Grishnak. That was from his latest release, The Death of Balder, which has come out on Misanthropy Records in Dutch East India in the United States. Thank you for listening. This has been a KCUF radio broadcast. Innocent victims of the wide, wide world, welcome to your pain. This is the GOAT on Radio KCUF. This is the Black Metal Show for those who have already cast their souls into the pit of hopelessness and despairing, life-hating, destructive empowerment. Yes, we've cast aside the wings you call the badge of angels, but we are the spirits immortal. We ride the will of the night and awaken in the dew, newborn, hateful, feral, pure. Destruction to all that would imprison the human spirit, of course. This show is designed to bring you the most virulent black metal possible, and we shall do so with extreme prejudice toward your eardrums and soul. Remember, this is the kind of thing you can find on KCUF, Real Metal Radio, for real metal heads. Check this out, a new one from Graveland. What could that be but the lovely sounds of Count Grishnak, the one-man Viking orchestra, on his Burzum masterpiece, Hevis Licit Taras. That was the song in a Slotted Frod Drummen. Before that was some Graveland from the Celtic Winter, a piece representing all of the darkness and hatred in the souls of those living in the East. Those crazy Poles striking out at our hearts and our minds. Black metal is about the abyss. It's about falling deep into the abyss. But it's also about resurrection, redemption of the mind through a belief in spiritual freedom and will. If there's chaos, there must be some way to define a path which does not require the corruption of the will, the weak, the personalitied, the subjected to the whims, fears, and horrors of the uncoming inner tormentor. We are our own beasts. We are our own flesh killers. Let us be necrotic. This is a track from Immortal. May all be brutal in the brain cells of your minds. And that was Night in Division 187, with a searing masterpiece of hatred from Impergium, their newest. Up next, we have something a little bit unusual for a black metal show, and then we're probably going to call it a night. But wait, there might be more, who knows? The dark souls that inhabit the caverns of these empty human shells will always drive us to further insanity. This, however, this treat is sweetness and darkness from Burzum once again, this time from his jail cell in the former Nazi prison of Bergen-Belsen, a classic of Viking ambient keyboard music, something like that. Metal it ain't, but beautiful it is. Enjoy this for what it is. This is the GOAT on radio KCUF, speaking to the empty spirits of modern times. Black metal is about the ambivalence of the soul, to give itself into the wind, into the swaying of time and momentum and place, or to stand alone, to be brushed only by the wind, touched, unlike immortal, by the existence and power and beauty of the intellect and life. The abstract, that which cannot be touched by the sheep, those who need something tangible, will fail here. It is the land of the spirit alone, and those who can face this coldness are the masters of this new land. I'm going to play you some classic black metal tonight, with some of the newer hits coming out of the black metal factories over across the ocean. This is the abyss of the modern soul on radio KCUF. In our times of mechanistic duty, obligation, patience, and collective effort toward meaningless abstract principles, we have found ourselves even more isolated. At night, the blue glow of television plays on our empty faces as we masturbate to an aesthetic of a world we've outgrown, a hopeless dream, a pathetic fantasy, a carrot to lead us in search of the masochistic stick which will deliver to us not justice, but righteousness, not something worth experiencing, but something that is obligated to be experienced. As such, we've made ourselves slaves of a new age, with the machines that would set us free, with the mental help that would perhaps put us into the age of a society that could help itself, that could be aware of itself, that could reference its own pains and make them victories. But no, we wallow in the mire of our own sordid intellect, our lack of spirit, our lack of courage, and most of all, our lack of will toward anything but the comfort of survival. We seek to be what every steak sitting in a microwave really is, dead meat waiting to be heated by the world around it. In the name of God, we cast our hopes on to determinism. We tell our world, yes, we relinquish our free will. Do with us what you will, and it does. This is no way to live. I shall not live on my knees. I shall not live in the shadow of a God outgrown. This is black metal. This is pure hate for weakness. So much of music is designed to dance through predetermined areas, bouncing from one point of extremity to the other, always looking for a good, an evil, a divine path, and a wrong path, always looking for simple mirrors, reflective consonants of each other, to bounce off the ideas, the content that might be implied, were not simply a judgment about it implied. Black metal's use of melody is to supersede that, to transcend the simple ability to project a gesture of application or fear, and to find a method of building a new language each time to articulate something specialized, something unique, something locked in to the frequency of the content at hand, which instead of being gestured is, well, there are gestures at its expression. There is an image of what it could be, an impression of what it might be saying, and the rest entirely is the responsibility of the black metal listener. This is the GOAT on radio KCUF, and this is our black metal program. We started by playing Throne of Ahaz, the title track from their album In Twilight Enthroned, and followed that with Sacramentum, When Night Surrounds Me, which was that long, beautiful, melodic, instrumental, mostly, piece. All of this stuff has something to say. See if you can tune in and feel it in your aging, dying, crepitating bones. Speaking of melody and hatefulness and dying, here's Graveland. The Voice of Emperor from the Nordic Forest. That was a song called I Am the Black Wizards, and it is about the escape of soul, transcendence. For every flower there is a winter. Most flowers die in winter. For every petal there are many that will rot in the mud, so one can capture the rays of the sun. Such is the nature of life. We are meat in the hands of an uncaring world, and black metal is here to make your veins pulse with the awareness of what will you have and what willlessness you will appreciate in the shifting death empire of creation. Before that amazing Emperor track, we had a Graveland track called Hordes of Empire. Speaking of, the madmen from Poland have struck again with another brilliant album in The Celtic Winter. How can we turn down such outrageous, delicious, and insanely tempting music? They bring us melody, they bring us power, they bring us many forms of beauty. It's all about how well you can accept where you are in the spectrum of death. We have a classic up next from Bathory, and then some Burzum. This is the GOAT on radio KCUF, and this is black fucking metal. That was the mighty Burzum with the track from his epic Philosopheme. Before that was Bathory with The Wind of Mayhem from the people born for burning more satanic evil. Of course, this is where the night begins and where your soul must end. This is KCUF Radio. I am the GOAT, and this is Rotting Christ. A soul that will not bend to the false happiness of growth and consumption is a soul that will stand in the death-like grip of winter. Black metal is the science of a death-like soul. Hold the hand of your own mortality. Look into the future of demise. Face the misanthropic hatred, the self-hatred, the world hatred, the blood hatred for your species that runs within you. Be ready for the feast of destruction. The apocalypse is at hand, and we are the new legion of destroyers. Awake, spill the blood, break the glass, shatter the cage, destroy the restraints. Black metal is a soul unleashed. Death is freedom from the cloying demands of mendacious life. Terrifyingly literal Count Grishnak created that song. He is the man who has much of Norway and the world in terror. Not for really his actions, as they are, like the actions of any individual in the face of the state, somewhat impotent, but for his ideas, which combine powerful forces in fusions that are terrifying to those who would have deconstruction rule so that aesthetic may predominate. His music was preceded by Immortal, his old band buddies from Old Funeral with Noctambulant, and this set opened up with Sacramentum, Obsolete Tears. More black metal from Radio KCUF. Here's some Gorgoroth crushing the scepter. Dethrone Jehovah. Monstrous and menacing, ambiguous and obscure Dark Throne, following Graveland, The Time of Revenge, from their masterpiece Thousand Swords, and Gorgoroth crushing the scepter, from their seminal album Pentagram. Black metal that will leave you wanting only sadness, so your soul may rend itself out, casting out its innards, bringing forth the sublimated, the painful, the torn, scarred, and subsumed. This is Radio KCUF, and I am DJ Goat, bringing you the sadistic, terrible, twisted, and perverse, musically formed in black fucking metal. A hateful blast of black metal simmering in your brain. This is the Hyperspeed Black Metal Show on Radio KCUF, and I am the Goat. Dead are we, dead are our futures. Our souls wander this wasteland, unfulfilled. Let the emptiness be our mantra. Let the future be our scorn, and the past our symbol. We return to ancient, regressive darkness. Reaching for eternity with Immortal, in the cold, post-death void, where no warmth, intelligence, or organism functions. In order to get closer to the soul, we may have to get farther from it. Thus, as our society journeys into dystopia, we embrace the coming darkness and obscurity, as a sign that soon we shall reconstruct. However, in our sheep-like wisdom, we have clustered together, and as such we can never see ourselves standing alone, never see the image of human replicated everywhere, and do not understand the math. To help you through this mathematical development, the numerical progression of life, as it goes from birth to death, from inception to evolution. A dark aura of silence descends around the world you have known. Suddenly all things familiar and faithful have peeled away. Your mind's eyeball lies uncovered, probed by a darkness it cannot comprehend. In your chilling spectacle you are light by the reflection of the moon, your pallor indicative of your disease, your eyes fixated on the throbbing veins, present against a negative world pulsing outward from your skin. You find your machine inadequate. you find your brain afraid. You're in the darkness. The cold has immersed you. There is no way to recall a time before this was true. You are suddenly, very suddenly, far too real in a reality you cannot swallow. Welcome to the dilemma after the end of the world. We are the children of a previous age, and born after death, shell-shocked, we stagger, wanderers of a land of waste, a land of nothingness, unforgiven by its own people for its wastefulness, pettiness. Worthless it scours itself, in displeasure it sinks. Around us a depression, like a malaise, laying waste to city blocks of productivity and virtue. Demons are our spirits now. The angels of light are corrupted. The serpents in the dark await the word of a dying world. Sinister they surround it, liquid they infiltrate it. They breathe its air, they breathe its toxins. They cleanse its ground with sacraments of power, with ordination of fire. The new inhabitants, they have been said to reprogram its virus, to turn its adept destruction from a grinding nothingness of perpetuation into the swift pulse and bitter strike of winter. Insistence of death is their guiding principle. Their cold stills the cells of that which is unaware that it lives. Black metal is the music of this millennia. It is the statement issued to the stars by the desperate and frightened, the desperate and hopelessly angry, hopelessly thrust outward from the society which has raised them as loyal, dependent, greedy, and needful members. I am the GOAT on Radio KCUF. This is a virtual broadcast which you can hear at any time, living or dead, light or dark, festival or sorrow. It is for resonance of your spirit. This first song is from Mayhem. It is called The Freezing Moon.
When it's cold and when it's dark, the freezing moon can obsess you.
Innocent ways of the originators began the dark path of evil for black metal. That first track came to us from Mayhem, playing live. That was The Freezing Moon. Then Samael from their debut, groundbreaker, crowd shocker, Worship Him. That was The Blackface. And finally, Hellhammer with Massacra from their foundational work, Apocalyptic Raids. The show continues. KCUF Radio believes only in more black metal. The curse of death-like skin upon the living must be discussed in its poetic abstract. In the sense, as it is in black and white carved, it must be in gray written. This is Dark Throne, with the dance of eternal shadows. Brilliant work of the genre there from Sacramentum, a band from Sweden, much in the style of Dissection, but perhaps more classically refined. Before that was the inimitable Dark Throne, the dance of eternal shadows from their darkest period of Under a Funeral Moon. Pure black metal in its rawness, in its unforgiving creativity, and its destructive architecturalism. This is music for the modern mind. Unfed by the pap of society, it churns onward for new targets to consume, new heights to reach, new expanses to develop. without the greed, the consumptive, commoditized greed of an overgrown fat cell of a human system. More evil music from a more recent effort. This is Graveland with Barbarism Returns. That was Graveland with Barbarism Returns from their classic album Carpathian Wolves. To round out this production, we are going to finish with Dimmu Borgir and a song called Broderskapets Ring. Sorry if I mispronounced that. It's not my language, but it is, in its own way, quite a doozy. This is DJ Goat on radio KCUF with the ear-splitting shriek of the soul of black metal. The curses of past have been revisited in the fears of today, and when the light is gone, what is stronger than our assertions of strength but our hidden fears? As we roll in the night, or as we lie in the day, the same mechanism erodes our actual confidence, strength, and valor. To live in a modern society is not to recognize that you live in a fucking cage. KCUF radio does not believe in cages. The unbridled human spirit is the only creature that can truly create. In freedom, we are set upon our own resources, and in autonomy we find resolutions to the problems that otherwise torment us in our avoidance. Free thinking, our souls are allowed for the first time to articulate themselves, and we, the modern creatures of our own numbness, might even come into self-awareness. All from the pain of death, the searing instant of severance, in the music that glorifies and explains its lawless nihilism. Tonight we have a full dose, starting with the nutcase princes of Norway, Emperor. Floating in from eerie dark space, the melodic masters sacramentum, weaving a tune there called Cries from a Restless Soul. That's some of the best work you'll hear in black metal for that high-speed, melodic, furious, fast finger interchange, screaming mayhem of rock and roll, terror of heavy metal, and all of the seriousness and umbrage of classical music. Before that, of course, was Emperor with Wrath of the Tyrant from their split album with Enslaved, still one of my favorite bad recordings of their classic works. The Black Metal Show here on KCUF doesn't seek to make compromises. Pragmatism is always there if one needs to survive, but the real question is what kind of personality, what kind of recombinance shows itself over the morning chaos. A good figure for entrance into the dark world and appreciation of the chaos within is Count Grishnok from Norway. Here is his band Burzum with Snu Mikrokosmos Tegen. Check this out. This has been a presentation of KCUF Radio.